Hi friends, welcome to part number 2 of the straight fit capsule. This is the part where we're going to be working on our adult tank, straight fit tank, and on our sip it jacket. I am super excited for this, and so let's get to it. All right. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make our tank, and I'm going to let you know I am not doing the color blocking version of the tank. I'm just going straight forward. But if you want to see the color block version, please visit our other video where our other straight fit tank video where I did do the color blocking. But it really, the only difference is you would grab your bodice pieces right now, you would put them right sides together and sew at that edge, that raw edge, and knead them together to make it one straight panel. And then you would do the next step that we're going to be doing together. I've got this awesome fabric. This is an athletic fabric from Olga's Closet. This is the wrong side and this is the right side. It's a little bit darker, as you can see. I think, maybe. Can you tell? It's a little bit darker. Okay, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my front right side up on my mat, and then I'm going to put my other bodice piece right sides on top together and meet at the shoulder seams. Now, sometimes when we're sewing top, we will do the shoulders, attach sleeves, and then we will move to the sides. Well, the way that we do the, well, this is a tank, so we will be attaching our bands once our shirt is put together. So instead of doing that, we're gonna sew the shoulders, shoulders. We're gonna sew the shoulders, and we're also going to sew our sides. Just gonna make this super quick sew. So I'm gonna go ahead and also pin my sides and sew those together at the same time that I sew my shoulders. That way, we save some time. Now, if you wanted to do it like your shoulders first and then your sides, you know, that's up to you. You can do it however you feel more comfortable with. That's fine. I just find that I like to pin everything and then sew. And because of that reason, I also am going to grab my bands and I'm going to prep them. The way that we're going to sew them on is we're going to do a binding method. So we're not going to sew them as a regular neckband where you fold it in half and sew right sides together and then flip it up like a neckband. We're doing a different method, which is binding, but we're still gonna go ahead and sew that in a round. So I'm gonna go ahead and sew those raw edges at the end on a round, right sides together to create my bands. I've got my neckband and my 2 armbands. So let's go ahead and sew all that up. Then guess what? We'll put our armbands on, we'll hem the bottom, and we'll be done. That's as easy as this top, as a tank top can get. So let's get to the sewing part. All right, time for binding. And I'm gonna show you 2 different ways of how you can do this. So the first way is the usual way. You will sew folded wrong sides together first and get your quarter point. So I told you we didn't have to fold together, but this is one way that you can do it. So we go from the back to the front, quarter, and we'll do this for every option. We'll quarter our neckband and armbands because this is how we figure out where we're gonna sew it, and that way we have an even band. We don't want an uneven band, right? Oof. This fabric is really nice, but it's also kind of slippery. Okay, so from the front and back, we go to the sides, clip and pin, other side. So this is my neckband, and how I know that it is my neckband is because I put them all together, and my armbands all, you know, they're the same length, and my neckband was a little bit longer, so I knew that's my neckband. I'm gonna grab my neck and also quarter it, so that I know exactly where I'm gonna put my band. I do a little tiny notch, which is like a little tiny bite off the fabric, not big enough to do anything, just big enough for me to see it. But if you look at it, it will get eaten by my seam allowance, so I should be good to go. You won't be able to see it later, but it helps me to see where I need to place my band. I'm gonna grab it and go to the sides because as I mentioned in the other video, if you watched it, it's not the same. The armbands, I mean the shoulder seams are not your quarter points. Now instead of putting the band on the right side, we're gonna put the band on the wrong side of the fabric. This is the wrong side of the fabric, this is the right side. I'm gonna place my band on the wrong side of my fabric and pin it at those spots where I'm going to sew. And this is my one way of doing it, and then I'll show you how I'm gonna finish it. Now the other way of doing it would be to grab your band, and also if you want to go ahead and steam it so that it's like a binding, so it's half, steam it in the half and then fold it again, and then you have the steam lines. I sometimes don't do that all the time, so I'm just gonna show you how I do it without it. And then I'm going to mark it, my halves. So I didn't even fold it, I'm just marking one side where my quarters are. Okay, and then I'm gonna mark my sleeves as well, my armholes. They're not sleeves, they're just like the holes right now, arms high, armholes. Okay, and then I'm going to grab my armband, and I'm gonna put it the right side of the armband to the wrong side of the fabric, which is what I did with the other one as well. It was just folded in half. This one is just straight, not folded at all. And I'm matching those quarter points. And then I'm gonna go over there and sew it on. I'm gonna sew both bands on, and then we're gonna figure out which version we like best, and we'll go with that. I'm gonna go sew them on, and then I'm gonna show you how I finish them up. And once I show you, we'll figure out which one I like best, and I'll do the last one that way as well. To sew my bands, I always like to go to that back seam. So I start on the back, and I always want my band to face up. That way I can see how much I am going to take off of it, and my seam allowance and all that. Then when I start, I like to put my needle into it. I go to that first quarter point, stretch out my band so that it matches my bodice, my neckline, and I sew. Once I get to that quarter point, I remove that pin and I go to the next quarter point, doing it all the way around, and I'm gonna do that for both. Alright, now my neckband is sewn onto the back of my shirt. So if I turned it right side out, you will see that this is the wrong side of my shirt. So I would the right side of my shirt. I will push this seam allowance up, and I will bring this down over that seam allowance, my band, so that the right side is now facing up. And we're gonna do that all the way around. See, this is my front of my shirt, and I'm grabbing my neckband, folding it down over that seam allowance, pulling that seam allowance up, folding it down over it, pinning. And then with this option, we're gonna go over to I'm gonna use my cover stitch, but you can use, if you don't have a cover stitch, you can use a double needle, a stretch stitch, whatever, on your sewing machine. And then we're gonna top stitch that neckband down. Now for this other version, I would fold it down halfway and then overlap it. Down halfway and then overlap it. That's another option as well. If you have struggled to put your neckband on so that they both go together at the same time or whatever, you can do it this way as well. I'm just folding it halfway and then bringing it over, and then I'm gonna top stitch it. So it's basically the same exact way. Tell me which way you usually do your binding. Now, if you have more questions about binding, we do have a video that shows you more in detail how to bind and everything like that. So you can go check that video out. And if you have any other questions, you can just comment below and let me know. So there we go. Now I'm gonna go over to my sewing machine, my cover stitch, and top stitch that down. Then I'll do my other band. Which method do you think I'm gonna choose? Let me know below. And then we're going to hem the bottom of our tank at a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So I'm also gonna do that while I'm over there on my cover stitch. And guess what? We'll be done. Just that easy. Super, super quick, super, super simple, super, super cute, super, super, what? Awesome? All right, let's do that. All right, so let's work today on our Sip It jacket. I am going to be making the, well, I'm not really making it reversible, but I am making it reversible. So I am going to do it like the reversible jacket. The only thing is I couldn't find a reversible zipper, so that's fine, but I did want to show you how to do the reversible. So it really doesn't matter because my zipper is just not going to be reversible, but the whole jacket will be reversible. So we'll go ahead and do that. I'm gonna grab my outer and my liner. So I've got outer liner bodices right here. And we're gonna do the same things to the outer and the liner bodices. The same thing to each one. So basically is what I was trying to say. So I'm gonna grab my back and I'm gonna put it face up on my board, and then I'm gonna grab my 2 fronts and I'm gonna put it right on top, matching at those shoulder seams. So the inside, it's a straight line, and the outer is the sleeve, the arm size. So what you're gonna do is you make sure that you line those up, and again, we're putting them right sides together. And I'm gonna do that for my liner and for my outer. So the exact same thing for both of them. Sewing here at the shoulders. I'm gonna be using my serger again, but if you don't have a serger, just a stretch stitch on your sewing machine will work. I am using, this is a sweater knit fabric that I had, and this is a cotton spandex fabric that I have for the liner. So that's what I'm going to be using for my fabric. So let me go ahead and sew those shoulders real quick and we'll keep going. Next, we're gonna go ahead and put on our pocket. So we're gonna open up our main bodice and we're gonna use our pocket placement on our pattern piece to place our pockets. Now you got to remember that your pockets are going to be face down. So the right side of the pocket is facing the right side of the fabric, and you're placing them right on top. So they're right sides together, and your pocket is facing down. So if you can tell right here, it's kind of going teardrop towards the bottom of your fabric, of your bodice. And we're going to put these pockets on both sides. So both sides and on the front side. Now, and we're gonna sew them up. Now, if you're going to be doing pockets on, if you want pockets, if you're doing a reversible jacket and you want pockets on both sides when it's flipped over on either side, you will have to do these same steps. So you'll need double the pocket. You will do the same steps for the liner piece. But I'm only going to be doing pockets on my outer because, like I mentioned earlier, this one is not gonna end up reversible because I couldn't find a reversible zipper, and you know, it's fine. But I still wanted to make it, you know, do the reversible steps, so that's why I'm doing it. So I'm gonna do that for my back. This is my back and this is my front. Remember, here's the arm size, so you're doing it on that outer edge is where you're putting that pocket. And if you have, like I said, if you have a reversible, you're gonna do it for your liner as well as your outer. If you're not doing a reversible, you're only doing it to your outer fabric, okay? Now, oh, also, if you're only doing one pocket, make sure you do it to the same side. So if I'm only doing one pocket, I've got one side on this side and one and the other side on this side. So that way when you put them together, the pocket is on the right side, on the same side. You don't want one pocket on one side and then one half pocket on one side and one half pocket on the other side, and then they won't match up. So let's go ahead and sew these pockets on. We're just gonna sew straight on right here at this outer edge, sew them onto your bodice, and then we'll move on to our next steppity step. Time for sleeves. We're gonna grab our arm size. So I'm doing the regular sleeves, I'm not doing the color block version. On the other video of our sewing our sip-it jacket, there is a color block version of the sleeves, so you can find those there, but I'm just gonna go ahead and go simple with my sleeve and go the straight way. If you're gonna color block, all really you need to do for color blocking is place those pieces together, the bottom piece and the middle piece right sides together, sew, and then the middle piece and the top piece right sides together, sew, and that's how you piece it together. So we're gonna grab the tip top of our sleeve, and usually I do a little notch with my scissors, but I have no idea where my scissors are, so I'm just gonna grab it really carefully right there where my half is and place that right at my shoulder seam, and we're placing them right sides together. So the right side of the sleeve is touching the right side of the fabric, and we're gonna go all the way down. We're gonna go, those raw edges are touching and they are right sides together all the way down to the end of the sleeve, and then down the other way as well. And we're gonna do this to both sleeves on the outer and both sleeves on the liner. Like I said, we're doing the same thing to the outer and the liner for now, and then we'll end up putting them together at the end. Time to sew our sides together. We're gonna grab our side seams and we're gonna match them up. Now, because I have pockets, it's going to go, we're gonna put the pockets out and we're gonna put one side pockets right on top of each other, right sides together. So we'll start at the bottom, go up, go around the pocket, up to the sleeve right here, and then all the way up the sleeve to close it, right sides together. And we're gonna do that for both sides. Now, because my liner doesn't have pockets, it's just gonna be straight all the way, straight to the arms, to the armpit, and then all the way down the sleeve. I couldn't think of the word. Words are hard sometimes. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. All right, let's do hoods. I've got my liner and my outer hood. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab my hoods and I'm gonna, well, my two half of my hood, and I'm gonna put it on my mat. And as you can see, this is the rounded part. This is the crown, like the back of the head. And we're gonna put them right sides together. These are my two outer hood pieces. And I am going to sew them together around the crown to create the hood. Making sure my lines are even. Though I did not do a really good job matching my lines everywhere on this jacket. It's all right. I don't know. I'm very easygoing when it comes to stripes and matching and stuff like that. I know some people are very adamant that they have to be matching and everything. I think it's fun when they do, but if they don't, I'll carry on. Okay, and I'm doing the same for the liner. So now we're gonna grab our outer and we're gonna open it up. We're gonna find our halves. So we're gonna grab our shoulders, we're gonna fold those in half, and we're gonna find our back point, and then we're gonna open it up again, we're gonna grab our hood, our outer hood. We're gonna open it and we're gonna face it right sides on top, that back line, on top of where we marked that back. And then we're gonna go all the way to the one side, the hood all the way. Right sides together, matching those raw edges. Stretch it out a little bit so it'll fit. It's kind of like the neckband, you know, of the whole thing. And then we're gonna go over to the other side and do the same. And we're gonna do the same for the liner hood. So we're gonna put on the outer hood and the liner hood. If you were wondering when I was sewing my pockets, and you saw that like when I was going around the pocket bag, it was a little bit of extra fabric. The fabric I'm using for the liner can be a little bit difficult to cut because it's kind of really stretchy. So there was a little bit of extra on one of the side of the pockets. I cut it, it kind of folded over, so it was a little bit longer. So that's why it looked like I was taking a big seam allowance. It was just that it was a little bit extra when I cut it because it's very flippery fabric. But honestly, if you just need to make sure when you're going around the pocket bag that the both sides are lined up. If you make your pocket just a tiny bit smaller than it's meant to be, that will be fine, but you need to make sure that the pockets are both together so that you don't have any gaps or holes, and then go back afterwards and look at it and make sure that it is. Okay, so make sure that you don't attach it to the top, you're attaching it to the bottom. So like you see the crown right here, and here's my bottom of my crown, that's what I'm attaching it to. So make sure we pay attention to that, right sides together. It's a good thing I caught it and I told you now instead of waiting. I'm gonna check my other one too to make sure I did it, because that would be one of the things I'd come over here next. Remember, please sew it the other way, because you know, I just sat there for 20 minutes seam ripping it off. I make the like simplest mistakes that make the biggest difference, and I'm like, how did I not check that? So I'm glad we got that. We caught that. Let me make sure that I did that with my hood. Yes, I did. Yes. Okay, good. We're good to go. Whew. All right, so we can go ahead and move on to also add in the waistband right now, because that way I can sew them both at the same time. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab our outer. We're gonna find the center of the back of our outer and mark it. And then we're gonna grab our band and find that center of our band right here, and we're gonna match it right sides together. Now we are not folding the band is staying flat because we're going to attach it. We gotta attach it to the liner as well. So we're going all the way down one side, right sides together, all the way down that side, stretching slightly so that it matches up. And now I'm thinking that maybe I should have done the contrast for the band, but I went with the same fabric as my outer. So we'll see. I think it's still gonna look really nice, but the contrast might have been a little bit nicer. I don't know. What do you think? Let me know in the comments what you think. I always want to know your opinions of fabric choices. Oh, by the way, I always get this question and forget to answer it. But these, actually both of these fabrics came from the Walmart, my local Walmart fabric area. They were pre-cuts, and I thought, you know, I always, when I go to the store, I always check and make sure, because they have really good deals. And it's so, when I saw this fabric, I'm like, wow, this is like a really nice sweater knit. And so I grabbed it, and then this cotton spandex, I was like, that's really good too. So I grabbed that too, and now I'm like, I was looking to see what I wanted to make it out of, my zip-it jacket, and I saw these two, and I'm like, perfect, because my husband is very basic, so he likes solids, he likes dull colors, so I was like, okay, this will work. So I was really excited to have it as a backup. And I am wearing the Free Spirit shawl. And this is a hatchy or a sweater knit from Olga's Closet. Super cute. I love it as well. I left the edges raw because it doesn't really fray, and I just like the way that it kind of curves in and everything. And so it was like, it took me like 2 seconds to sew. It is, go grab that pattern if you don't have it. Super easy to sew. Okay, so let's go ahead and attach our waistband and our hoods, and we are pretty much ready to put it together and add our zipper. Scary part. Not so scary, just a little scary. Time for zipper. Time for zipper. This is the most exciting part, right? Right. Okay, so we're gonna grab the right side of our fabric and lay it out. I'm gonna grab my waistband area and fold it in half, and I'm gonna give it the seam, leave that 1/4 inch seam allowance hanging out at the end up here at the top so that we know exactly where it is. And I'm gonna mark it, my half, where my half is, because that's where, and I marked it over here already, that's where my zipper is gonna start. So I'm using a molded separated zipper. This is like a plastic zipper. Like I said, I don't have a 2-sided zipper, I just have a 1-sided zipper. But if you're doing this reversible, you will need a 2-sided zipper. So we're gonna grab our zipper and we're going to put our zipper face down on top of our outer. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab it. So here's my zipper, and this is what my zipper looks like. This is the right side of my zipper. You know, let's pretend it's still closed. I just opened it and separated it, and I'm putting it on top of my bodice. Then I'm gonna grab one side, and I'm gonna flip it right on top of my bodice front. And I'm just gonna, for now, I'm just gonna pin it. But you know what? Well, then I'm gonna show you the other one. So here's the other side. This is the right side. I'm folding that little right side right here. And I'm gonna grab the zipper and flip it that way. So that now what it's doing is when we flip them both in, they will be facing each other. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to grab some steam-a-seam, because zippers can be a little bit wiggly. But not only that, I have this, this fabric is sweater knit, and you all know sweater knit can be a little bit stretchy and wonky sometimes, and I don't want my zipper to get caught in the middle. Oh, another thing is, once you place your zipper on, you need to make sure that is the correct size. It might be a little bit too long. If it's a little bit too long, you're gonna have to cut it and take some of the teeth out. We do have a video on here about how to trim your zipper, so you can go ahead and do that. My zipper fits perfectly. This is a large size, and it's a 28-inch zipper, and it fits just perfect. So I'm using this hem tape, so it's really just, it's like almost like a sticky double-sided tape, and I'm just gonna put it right along the top of my fabric, that edge. And if you just press your zipper and your fabric together on top of that tape, it will give it a what do you call it? Not a permanent. What is the opposite of permanent? Let's see. I'm gonna read this because I can't remember the word. I told you earlier, words are hard. What is the opposite of permanent? Temporary. There it is. They don't have the word on there. But if you iron it, if you steam it on, it is a permanent hold. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put this down, and then we're going to go and baste our zipper on. I'm just putting all this on it because I have had times, as you all may know if you watched any of my videos or sew-alongs, where I'm just like, I don't need it, I'm just gonna go for it, and then my zipper is all wonky. I'm trying to do better, so I'm really kind of trying this time, and that's why I'm putting this on. But if you are great at zippers and you think that you don't need it, then you don't need it. It's all good. And if you don't have any, it really, we're gonna baste the zipper on, which is a long straight stitch on your sewing machine. So since we're gonna baste our zipper on, we are okay. You can baste it on first and then see if it's even and set right and everything before you actually sew the zipper on. So I mean, that's just fine. This is just a little bit of an extra step I'm taking because I'm actually being cautious today for, it's new. Y'all are probably like, wow, you're actually doing that? Because, you know, y'all know I don't usually. All right, make sure that it's all the way down. I think I went too high up right here. Eek. Okay. And I'm gonna continue to just tape it on all the way. Here, when we get to the top, the teeth should end right where the hood and the jacket meet. And the tape, we're gonna fold it towards the inside. So here's my tape, here's my outer side. We're gonna fold it towards the inside so that it gets caught on our seam allowance later when we sew it on. Okay, now if you wanted to, you can give it a little bit of a steam right here to make that more of a permanent hold. Go ahead and do that. I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side as well. All right, before we do anything, well, you can go ahead and baste first, really, it's up to you. But we wanna go ahead and flip it. We're gonna flip it in and put our zipper together. And then make sure that these lines, like right here at the seam allowance right here, and go all the way up, make sure that your zippers are even. They're not like, you know, uneven, uneven. Mine look pretty even. And so then we can move on to going ahead and basting it on. If you're using this double-sided tape and you just say, you know, that's enough for me, I don't think I need to baste it on, it's up to you. But basting it on is kind of like an extra little insurance. I'm gonna go ahead and grab my iron and make it a permanent bond. All right, now I'm gonna head over to my sewing machine and top with a zipper foot. Okay, that didn't do permanent right now. I was too afraid to melt my zipper, so I didn't make it very hot. So let me just add some clips to this. I'm gonna go use my zipper foot, and I'm like straight up lying to y'all right now. I lost my zipper foot. I had borrowed a sewing machine from a friend, and I was using my zipper foot from my other machine, and I don't have it right now. It doesn't fit this one. So I'm just gonna use a regular foot very carefully. But if you have a zipper foot, that is way better because it comes really, really close to the zipper without it going onto the zipper. So that's a really cool thing about a zipper foot. It makes the needle go closer. And then, but again, I don't have one right now, and I am waiting in the mail. The mail has been a little bit slower lately. There's a lot going on. So I'm supposed to get it sometime soon. Not quite yet, but I think we can do this. So we're gonna hope that we can. We're gonna baste it on first. A base stitch is just a long straight stitch on your sewing machine so that the zipper stays on when we are attaching it to the outer layer, the inner layer as well. Remember that our zipper tape is going towards the inside so that it gets caught right there with our seam allowance when we sew. When we get to our zipper, we can, oops, I should have left that needle down. Lift up the foot, move our zipper stopper up out of the way, put our foot back down, and keep going. Okay, zipper is basted on. We're gonna grab our, over here where our waistband is, and put it face up on our board. And we're gonna grab our bodice liner, and we're gonna put it face down right on top of that, and we're going to match it at the bottom. So I'm gonna go ahead and find my half of my bodice liner, just like we attach the waistband to the outer, we're gonna attach it to the liner. I'm gonna find my half again of my waistband. That way I have it right at the center, because we do stretch a little bit as we're putting it on. So we wanna make sure that it's even Steven. And so we're gonna match up the right side of the waistband to the right side of the liner. I know you can't see the whole thing because it's a pretty long waistband. And then once we match up the right sides together, we're gonna go ahead and attach those raw edges together. Part 2 of our zipper put together artish thingy. Okay, so I've got my liner and outer, now they're together right here. So here's my waistband. And so I'm bringing my right side of my liner right on top of my right side of my bodice. Move that bulk out of the way. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna place our zipper face up right here. So I can see my basting stitch of my zipper. I know that I basted it to my outer. So what I'm gonna do is now I'm gonna grab my liner and place it right on top. Making sure, see here where my waistband is, make sure that I know that that's the end of my waistband right here where the end of my zipper is. Right here. Matching those raw edges. See how it's kind of hugging the zipper. And you can go ahead and actually use some more of this tape if you want to. Honestly, I think that this is such a help. This little thing was $4.99 and there is 40 yards of this stuff. And I don't use it for every single project that I do, but something like zippers, I do love using it for zippers. It is super, super helpful for zippers. And it is very helpful for like hems and stuff. If you have like wiggly hems or like circle skirts or something like that that have like a hard hem and you're like, oh, I can't do this. This is actually really, really helpful for that too. Or actually one of the things too, another thing is if you're doing appliques, sometimes I will tape it down first if I'm doing an applique and then sew it, because I don't know, it just kind of gives me a little bit of extra help that I need. So I'm gonna grab my bodice liner and just get it right on top. So we're making a zipper sandwich. We're gonna sandwich that zipper in there between the two layers. We're gonna do that for both sides of our zippery zip. Hey, remember that hem tape, not hem tape, zipper tape is sticking out right there, so when you sew it, it will get caught in that seam allowance. While we're at it, after you sew that zipper, we're also going to sew our hoods together. Hoods together. We're gonna match up that top seam. And so I will do my zipper first, and then from here, make sure you catch your zipper tape, but not your teeth, right here at that seam right here, and start right after it. So you might even do like that first part, do a stitch on your sewing machine, like right there, so that if you're using your serger won't just eat your teeth right here, your zipper teeth. I might do that. So when I'm finishing my zipper, I might go up a little bit to that seam line, so that way it all goes seamlessly. And if you're making the reversible jacket, leave a gap to turn your jacket to make it reversible. So like a 4-inch gap where we'll turn our jacket. Don't forget it, because then you'll be like me and you end up seam ripping a hole later, which is what I usually end up doing every time I'm supposed to leave a gap, because I always forget. I don't know why. I get distracted by my sewing machine and then end up not leaving the gap. We are almost done. After we're done with this, we'll flip it, top stitch it, band it, cuff it, I guess, and we'll be done. So let's go do this. Oh, again, you will be using a zipper foot and it will be a 3/8 seam allowance. I don't have my zipper foot. So this is what I'm gonna do. I am going to go ahead and sew with my regular foot. I'm going to leave my gap. I'm gonna turn it around. We're gonna finish it pretty normally, but I'm not going to close my gap or top stitch my zipper. I'm gonna show you just how you're gonna do it. I'm just gonna leave it. That way, when I get my zipper in the mail, zipper foot, not zipper, zipper foot, then I can just bring it back out, top stitch, or just top stitch really, if I just top stitch my zipper, it should be good. But I just wanted to let you know that, because you're all wondering, you're like, how are you doing this? It's not gonna look right. It's gonna have a bigger lip, because the zipper, when it closes, you sew it, you top stitch it really close to the zipper, so that that flap, that gap of fabric doesn't just flap open and get stuck in the zipper. So that's why you do that top stitching. But since my zipper, non-zipper foot, my regular foot, doesn't come really close to the zipper, it will leave it a little bit of a gap from the zipper to where I'm stitching. So that extra fabric can get caught in the zipper and just be a little bit annoying. So I'm gonna wait on that and use that to top stitch it and make it closer, if that makes sense. So let's get to it. While we're here, let's prep our cuffs. We're gonna grab our cuff and we're gonna match it right sides together at that short raw edge right there, and make it a circular cuff, like actual cuff. We're gonna do that to both of our cuffs. Now that our cuff has been sewn together, we're gonna grab it, open it up, and first we're going to attach it to our right side of our liner. So just one side of the cuff though, not both sides, just one side of the cuff. Usually when we're doing cuffs, and if you're not doing the reversible side, then you'll do it this way. You will actually fold the cuff in half and attach it to both at the same time. But if you're doing the reversible, we're attaching it first to our outer, like so. So I see that the cuff is wider than our actual arm, so we're just gonna stretch it out and measure it out that it's even. Okay, and usually I just do that by like pulling it tight and measuring it, but you can quarter your armband if you want to. So you're sewing it right sides together to your sleeve, your main sleeve first. Let's do that. All right, so there it is attached to it. Now we're gonna grab our liner piece, our liner sleeve, making sure it's the same sleeve that is gonna match up together. So here's my, let me show you that better out. This is an important step, I didn't want you getting confused. Okay, so here's our jacket, and here are my two sleeves for the one side. Here it is straight, here's the one that already has the cuff. Make sure that they're not twisted or anything, they're straight. I'm gonna grab my liner sleeve and fold that seam allowance down. Actually, you can fold it however much you want to. It's just to give you space to sew it onto the cuff. So here it is. I'm gonna tuck that cuff and sleeve together. What you're trying to do is match right sides together. So you have that fold, and this is the right side. That means that the right side of my sleeve is gonna go right on top. So we're matching right here. Here's our seam, two seams together. And honestly, you can do it however you want to. It's just easier if you fit it in there to match up that sleeve. Stretch it out that it's even on both sides, just like we did on the other one. And then you're gonna sew around on that round around the sleeve. So you're just matching the raw edge of your liner to the raw edge of your cuff, right sides together. You see that? I hope that makes sense. Just like so. So then we're gonna go over, see if you look at it like this, you know, it's just, you just pulled out that right side so that they're matching. We're gonna go and sew that around. We're gonna do that for both sleeves. This is the reversible version. So if you're doing the non-reversible version, you're gonna turn it around and then attach the cuff like a regular cuff. But I am doing the reversible version, even though my zipper is non-reversible. So we'll get to that. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. All right, let's go over to our hood. Where is my hood? Where are you? Okay, we're gonna go to that gap we left on our hood and turn our whole jacket around through that gap. And all we gotta do now is, once we turn it all the way around, we top stitch and we are done. Now, if you did not do the reversible version, you would pull out your arms and put your cuffs on as regular, just matching the two sleeves. But since we did the reversible, I'm gonna bring this cuff out and show you. Here's my cuff. And if you turn it the other way, here's my cuff on the other side. Hold on, let me show you, let me get it all out. So excited. I love, 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 love this reversible. I might get some more fabric and make another one with like a really funky, cool color on the inside, because I love it. Look at it. Here we are. Our jacket is finished. All we gotta do now is go back. Okay, so here's the one side. So it's completely reversible. Here's my other side. Bloop. How cool is this? So awesome. Okay, all we have to do now is go ahead and top stitch. So like I said, I don't have my zipper foot, so I don't see how far it is from the edge because of the fact that I don't have a zipper foot. With a zipper foot, it will go really, really close up. So I am not gonna do all that right now. I am going to leave it, then I'm gonna turn it inside out and sew my zipper once again closer to the edge with that zipper foot, so that way my jacket looks really, really good and finished. I don't want to, you know, leave it with my zipper all messy, so I'm not gonna close that gap, but it still works and it is finished. So I'm gonna show you now. All you have to do is go back right here where the zipper is. Go all the way top stitching along the edge stitching your zipper all the way up, top stitch around the hood, and top stitch that gap that we left. Where is that gap? Here's the gap. Tuck it in and top stitch it, and you are done. How cute is this? I love it. Hope my husband's gonna like it, and we are done. I hope you enjoyed this sewing tutorial. Please comment, like, share, subscribe. Let me know if you have any questions about anything that I did, either with the tank or with this hoodie. Check out our part 1 of our sew along where we showed the basic tee and the Be Active shorts. Please, please, please subscribe if you haven't, so you never miss any of our videos. And come find us on YouTube, and I mean, not YouTube, this is YouTube. Come find us on Facebook and Instagram so you can see what everybody is making, and you can be inspired, and then you can show us your makes and you can inspire others. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you all next time.